In a quiet neighborhood lined with old trees and small houses, Maria lived with her 2 young children, Lily and Sam. Their home was simple, a little rental with chipped paint and a creaky porch, but to Maria it was a sanctuary. For years this modest house had been their safe place, where laughter filled the rooms and bedtime stories softened the worries of the day. Maria worked hard to keep things together. Money was tight, and some months were harder than others, but she made sure her children never went without. She cherished the warm evenings spent on the porch, watching the sunset while Lily and Sam played nearby. That little house held more than just shelter, it held hope. One afternoon, the quiet was broken by a knock on the door. Maria opened it to find Mr. Jensen, the landlord. He was a tall man with a cold expression and sharp eyes that rarely softened. Without greeting her, he handed over a thick envelope. Inside was an eviction notice. Maria's heart sank. She blinked, unsure if she had heard right. "I have to ask you to leave within 30 days, Mr. Jensen said flatly. There was no kindness in his voice, only finality. Maria's mind raced. How could this be happening? They had always paid the rent, even when it was late. What could she do now? The safe place that had been her children's home felt like it was slipping away, and with it her hope. Fear crept in, filling the room like a cold wind. Mr. Jensen didn't stop at handing over the eviction notice. Over the next few days he came by several times, each visit colder than the last. He told Maria the eviction was because of unpaid rent and violations in the house, things like broken fixtures and noise complaints, but Maria knew the truth. She had always paid what she could, sometimes late but never skipping a month, and the so-called violations. Her children's laughter or a light bulb that had gone out days ago. She tried to explain, but Mr. Jensen refused to listen. The worry settled deep inside Maria, growing heavier with each passing night. Sleep became a stranger. She lay awake, staring at the cracked ceiling, imagining the day when she'd have to pack up Lily and Sam and leave the only home they had ever known. Fear tightened her chest. How could she protect her children if they lost this house? She felt small and helpless, like the walls themselves were closing in. One evening, as Maria was struggling to calm the children for bed, her next-door neighbor, Mrs. Collins, knocked softly on the door. Mrs. Collins was an older woman with kind eyes who had watched Maria's family for years. "You shouldn't face this alone," Mrs. Collins said gently. "You need someone who knows the law. There are people who can help you fight this." Maria nodded, grateful but still unsure. The legal world was foreign to her, filled with confusing words and rules she didn't understand. But she knew she had to try. The next day, she called a local legal aid office, her hands trembling as she explained her situation. That's when Maria met Miss Harper. Miss Harper was calm and patient. Her voice was steady, full of quiet confidence. She listened carefully, as Maria told her the whole story, the eviction, the landlord's threats, the fear that kept her awake at night. Miss Harper didn't rush or judge. Instead, she promised to help Maria understand her rights and figure out the next steps. For the first time in weeks, Maria felt a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, she wouldn't have to lose the home that meant so much to her family. Miss Harper sat at her desk, carefully spreading out the eviction papers and Maria's lease agreement. The yellowed pages looked official, but something about the landlord's claims didn't sit right with her. She read the fine print, line by line, comparing it to what Maria had said. The eviction notice cited unpaid rent and property violations, but the lease showed Maria was current on her payments, except for one late month, which Mr. Jensen had accepted before without complaint. As they prepared to confront Mr. Jensen, Maria felt nervous but determined. When the day came, Mr. Jensen appeared at the small meeting room, his posture proud and voice dripping with sarcasm. "So you think you can fight me now?" he sneered. "You should just pack up and go. I own this place, and I can do whatever I want." His confidence made Maria's stomach twist, but Miss Harper stayed calm. "We want to review the property ownership papers," she said firmly. "We need to confirm who legally owns the house." Mr. Jensen hesitated, a flicker of doubt crossing his face, but after a moment, he pulled out a thick folder and handed it over. The papers looked official, stamped and signed, but Miss Harper's eyes narrowed as she examined them closely. Something wasn't right. She carefully compared the documents to the public records she accessed through her office. As she read deeper, a startling truth emerged. Mr. Jensen was not the rightful owner of the house. In fact, the property had been legally sold months ago to another person, and Mr. Jensen's papers were forged or incomplete. Worse, there was an unresolved dispute about the property's ownership, one that the landlord had never mentioned. Miss Harper looked up at Maria, her voice steady but full of surprise. "Maria, the man who's trying to evict you may not even have the legal right to this house. His claim is based on false or disputed documents." Maria's mind spun, relief washed over her. Maybe they could fight this after all. But confusion and fear quickly followed. If Mr. Jensen wasn't the real owner, who was? And what would happen next? Would the real owner come forward? Could Maria's family keep their home? The room felt heavy with uncertainty. Miss Harper promised to investigate further, to uncover the truth and protect Maria's rights. But the path ahead was still unclear. The landlord's threats were only the beginning. A deeper battle was about to unfold, one that would challenge everything Maria thought she knew about her home and her family's future. Though the truth was a lifeline, it also opened a new door filled with questions. And Maria knew she would have to be stronger than ever to walk through it. The day of the second meeting arrived with heavy clouds hanging low over the town, mirroring the tension in the small conference room, where Maria, Miss Harper, and Mr. Jensen sat facing each other. The air felt thick, every glance and word weighted with meaning. Maria's hands trembled slightly, but she kept her eyes steady on the landlord across from her. She had to be strong, for herself, and for Lily and Sam. Miss Harper placed a thick folder on the table, sliding it toward Mr. Jensen. "These are the official property ownership documents," she said clearly. "They show that you are not the owner of this house. The real owner purchased the property months ago, and your claim is based on false papers." Jensen's face paled, his usual smirk fading into something much darker. He looked down at the papers, his fingers trembling as he touched the edges. For a moment, silence filled the room, broken only by the soft hum of the air conditioner. Then, unexpectedly, Mr. Jensen's posture slumped. His voice cracked as he spoke, the harshness gone. "I didn't mean for it to end like this," he said quietly. "I lost everything a year ago, my business failed, debts piled up, and I made some bad decisions. This house, it was supposed to be my last chance to hold on. But I never really owned it. I thought I could bluff my way through, keep it for a while longer." Maria watched as the man who had been so cold and threatening crumbled before her eyes. There was pain in his voice, a raw desperation she hadn't expected. For a moment, she felt a flicker of empathy. She knew what it was like to worry about losing everything. But her heart stayed firm. This home was her family's safe place, their shelter from the storms of life. She couldn't let it slip away. Miss Harper broke the silence. "Mr. Jensen, I understand this has been hard for you. But you cannot threaten a family with eviction based on lies. Maria and her children have every right to stay." Mr. Jensen's eyes flicked up, filled with defeat. "I don't want to fight anymore," he admitted. I didn't know where else to turn." The room held its breath. Would he accept the truth and walk away, or would he fight back, dragging Maria and her children into more pain? After a long moment, Mr. Jensen stood slowly, his shoulders heavy but less tense. "I'll step back," he said. "I'll stop this eviction." Relief flooded Maria's chest like warm sunlight breaking through clouds. She nodded, tears pricking her eyes. The fight wasn't over, but this battle was won. As Mr. Jensen left the room, Maria felt a quiet strength rise inside her. The road ahead might still be difficult, but her family had a future. A home, and for now, that was enough. After Mr. Jensen left the room, the silence stayed for a moment longer. Maria let out a deep breath she didn't even realize she was holding. Her eyes filled with tears, but this time, they weren't from fear, they were from relief. Miss Harper gently touched Maria's shoulder. "You did everything right," she said softly. "You stood up for your family. That takes strength." Maria smiled through her tears. "I didn't feel strong," she whispered. Sometimes the strongest people are the ones who keep going, even when they're scared, Miss Harper replied. Over the next few days, Miss Harper worked with the legal system to make sure Maria and her children were protected. She contacted the rightful owner of the house, who, after hearing the full story, agreed to allow Maria to stay, and even offered her a new lease. Everything was legal, clear, and secure. Maria finally felt like she could breathe again. Lily and Sam noticed the change too. They laughed more, played without worry, and slept through the night without waking to hushed voices or worried whispers. Their home felt like home again, safe, full of love, and finally stable. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky with soft oranges and pinks, Maria sat on the porch. Lily was drawing with chalk on the steps, and Sam was chasing fireflies in the yard. The creaky boards beneath her felt steady for the first time in weeks. Mrs. Collins waved from her yard. "Told you to find help," she said with a warm smile. Maria laughed, wiping her eyes. "I'm glad I listened." She thought about Mr. Jensen sometimes. His breakdown, his sorrow, it had shaken her. She had felt sorry for him, but she also knew now that protecting her children, their home, and their future had to come first. And that's exactly what she did. With a little help, a lot of heart, and the courage to stand up for what was right, Maria had faced the storm, and come out stronger. As the stars began to appear in the sky, Maria pulled her children close. For the first time in a long time, the future didn't feel so scary, it felt like home.